Today I have the privilege of sitting down with someone who has impacted many through his life and through his work. He is a husband, he is a father, and a son. He's an author and multi-time New York Times bestseller, and I'm pretty sure he's in the double digits now. He is a writer for TV and film for Warner Brothers. He's a producer, he's a director, he is a personal mentor of mine, who I lovingly refer to as OG, the good brother, JaQuavis Coleman. How you doing today, family?
I'm good, man. How are you, man?
It's good to see you, brother.
Yeah, my dog, man. It's a pleasure, man. Yeah. I'm so proud of you, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know you don't do interviews like that, and I haven't done an interview for a while, which is probably why I'm jumping over my words in the beginning, but
It's all good.
I know this is going to be a powerful conversation. Focusing on your memoir that's coming out really soon, Drop Jewelry, a daily bread to becoming more calculated, stoic, and powerful. It releases this month on June 14th. I know you had touched on it in the book, but I wanted to touch on it again just briefly. What kind of made you know that it was time for you to release a memoir? Because people are so used to you releasing what they call street literature.
It was time, man. And also, it's been 7 years, so it's certain things I could talk about that I really wanted to talk about. So it just was time, and I wrote about every cartel, every love story, every street facet of the world. So it was just time for me to just do what I wanted to do, write something that'll drop game, and just give people a helping hand on life. And not saying I'm a guru or nothing, because I'm not, but it's just I basically wanted to leave something to my son, like a guide. It was solely for him. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I go tomorrow, he got something like sterile. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm on. Yeah.
That's heavy because it makes me think about my father. Like, the only thing I have of him is some notes. I got one notebook, and I go back to this notebook, and it helps me just kind of understand his mindset.
Okay.
And he jots dates like March 12th. 2005, I was at the study group and we talking about this. It is Robin, she needs to bake a cake for this. And that's the only thing I have from my father. So that's heavy. I wanted to ask you, was this a therapeutic thing for you, or was it just purely for the people? Because I know a lot of artists and creatives, they talk about, just finding therapy through their ability to put out art, because it's like their highest form of communication. But I know you're a good speaker as well. So was this something that you feel like was therapeutic for you because it's your highest form of communication, or do you feel like you're able to express these things without the pen?
I had the pleasure of experiencing duality, where I could just do two things and it's strong on both sides. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that's like my favorite book. And I couldn't relate to that shit. I could relate to it, but I couldn't, because Robert, he talked about how you had two dads pouring into him. Like, where I'm from, you only even got one. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, the money lessons was cool, but the life lessons were absent, right? So I said, yo, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that for the people of my cloth. And I just wanted to write something for the streets. I hate to say that, but it is what it is. I wanted to write something for the streets. And, I did it. I think so. I think I did it, bro.
Yeah, you did. This is one of them ones. I told you, I think it might have been the greatest book I ever read. And I'm being 100% authentic. I read a lot of good books, like Alchemist, and I read Heart of Darkness. I read a lot of good books that really just made me think, thought provoking. But I think this one hit me just because it was on time. Sometimes you got children reading books that they're not on time for.
Yeah.
I felt like this book was on time for me, and everything that you said, it made sense. Like, a lot of things that you experienced, I've experienced in different areas of my life, and I was just like, I really could have used this, And I just think of that aspect of stoicism. And that's one of the things that you're trying to impart with this book, Stoicism. When did that philosophy of Stoicism hit you in life for you to know that was an important thing?
I was always stoic, even when I didn't know what it meant. And it was by by accident. Being stoic is just saving your words, thinking about stuff before it happened, being calculated, meticulous, and just subscribe to an ideology of being calm. And I've been through a lot of shit. So I was always quiet, not because I was shy, because I just saved my words for people that I love and when shit mattered. So I was being stoic without knowing it. When I got older, it just worked for me. You know, so now I'm thinking about shit. I'm playing chess with life. And that's what kind of made me wanted to just share that, share that so people move. Not correctly, because I don't always move correctly, but I know how to move correctly. That's the thing, knowing. So, it's always saying you will do better if you knew better. And you may not do better all the time, but if you know, it makes life much, much easier. Yeah. So that's what it's for, bro. It's for people like you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That make it worth it. You telling me this book was one of those ones. I did what I needed to do. Even if it's just for you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Hopefully my son catch on the jewels, the drop jewelry. That's why it's called drop jewelry. So
it's funny that you say that, because before I caught the flight to come out here, I was thinking, I was like, I didn't know if we still gonna make it happen, because I didn't know, it was still up in the air, because I know you're so busy with the schedule. Yeah. But I was like, God might have just did this just for me to read this book. And I was thinking, like, this might have just been the purpose, was just to get me to read this book. Because I read it in 3 days, and I was reading it while I was driving. I was just reading, consuming it. And I was like, it might have just been just for me to read it. It was heavy. Something that I saw in the book, it was a reoccurring theme, two reoccurring themes that I was seeing in the book was just the idea of the immeasurable value of loyalty, and then also the weight of unspoken words. And you talk about in the book the first time that you met the legendary John Singleton with your wife, and just how that conversation went, and just the moments that you guys had to get to actually make that moment happen, and then some advice that he had gave you guys after the conversation. But what made this advice stand out over anything?
It wasn't understandable at first, because I'm like, yo, what did he mean? I said, okay. My wife said, okay. But we walked away, and I was like, yo, what did he mean? You hear so much shit about Hollywood. You like, nigga, what the fuck?
Right,
what the fuck that mean?
That can mean a lot of different things.
Yeah, but I ain't really understanding we was in a meeting with the head of television at Warner Brothers, and we sat in this big ass circle, right? It was producers. It was I think her name was Lee Redman. I'm not sure. She was a phenomenal lady though. But we had this meeting. We was talking about a script that me and my wife wrote, and I noticed it was this young girl. She was much younger than everybody in the room, so she kind of stuck out, right? Blonde hair, blue eyes. Once we started talking, one of the producers said, "This is my friend's daughter. She just shadowing me for the summer." And think about that, bro. It was the most important meeting of our life. And it took us like 10 years to get there. We wrote like 20 books, about 22 books at the time. And I'm like, damn. I'm like, yo, it took us 22 to get here. Hard, selling books out the trunk. And this girl, it's her starting point. She ain't did shit but go to school. And it's like nepotism at the highest form. Her floor was our mountaintop. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, damn, like we gotta work 10 times as hard just to get to where she at. So just to get back to John, when we got done with that meeting, one of the executives was like, yo, how did you get so savvy? And I didn't think I was business savvy, but they did, obviously. And I was kind of embarrassed because I wanted to say, yo, I went to this business school and I was a journalist major, but none of that shit wasn't true. I just came from the hood. Me and my wife worked extremely hard, and we just wrote our truth. And I left that meeting like embarrassed, like damn, like shit, I'm just from the streets, like. So like the next day we met John, and he said that John actually wanted to do me and my wife's life story, and we talked about that. And before he left, he said, "Hey man," he said, "don't change." He said, "Don't wear the mask." I'm like, all right. I'm like, for sure. But I didn't know what he meant. But I was tempted to wear the mask at the end of that meeting. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? So I was like, damn, like, yeah. I get it. Like, just be you. You here for a reason. They brought you here because you. Not what the mask said. So after that, I never wore the mask. Just came in the room like me, and it worked for us. My wife the same way. So just unapologetic, and that's what he meant. And shit, it was like one of the best pieces of jewelry I ever got. Yeah.
It's powerful because in the book you also detail something I think is important when meeting people. Is like what time they show up. Like, you know, you show up and they've been there an hour and you expect somebody to show up, 15 minutes late to exert dominance, but it's like they're showing up an hour early. The way that they carry themselves, the speed that they talk, just the way that they think. I kind of want to just talk a little bit about like why you pinpoint those different things and like how it really can be game changing and how you took that into your process.
When you cut from a certain cloth, and you doing shit you aren't supposed to do, you get there early, not because you on time, not because you business savvy. It's because you trying to see what's going on. You know what I'm saying? How they pulling up, who they pulling up with, just trying to peep the scene so you comfortable walking in. And that's just something I adapted and I held on to. I never been in a business meeting where I was put in a position where I had to come early, but I was trained. Ever since I was a young boy doing what I was doing, I always came early. That's what my OGs taught me. Get there early to peep the scene so you know what's going on. And after I left that rule just stayed with me. So being early is vital. And it just works for me now because now I get to see how the producer or how the exec walk in when they think no one's watching. That's when you get the real person. That's when integrity comes in, when you do shit and you don't think nobody looking. So you just get the up on anybody because you kind of see them in their natural form. So I love to see a person walk in and how they position themselves and how they get ready for a meeting. I just get to see it coming early. So, yeah.
And from the book, I can kind of like get a sense that like you study power, you study different areas in life, you study money. And I think one of the biggest things that in our community hurts us is like our lack of ability to transfer power over time, right? We got leaders in the community, but they don't know how to pass it on to the next generation. We got powerful figures, but once they transition, the power doesn't continue. So I just kind of wanted to see your perspective about this idea of power. How does one like transfer power, or what you've seen from other, like how do they prepare? How do powerful people prepare their children to eventually take on power when they're, or the next person in command?
Yeah, see, so I think that's a issue in the Black community. Man, we so smart, man. We so special, and we just don't know how to be special. So I got a saying, right? Don't eat before the plug. And I actually talked about it in the book. I had an older cousin that was hitting me with right? And I noticed that only thing he was doing was going up the road, coming back. So I knew he wasn't getting it from his spot.
Right.
So I got greedy. I was looking at his plate instead of just eating. So I asked him, like, hey man, like since I spent money with dog, let me meet him. And he was like, nah, bro, you want to meet the plug, but the plug don't want to meet you. So I just took offense. So I started like asking around. I found out who he was copping from. And in Flint, man, we got this big game. It's like Central and Northern. And you from Flint. Yeah, so everybody go there. It's almost like it's our Grammys.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's where you're going to catch everybody. Anybody in the city getting money, they going to go there. It don't matter what year we doing it. If we got a superstar or American, it don't matter. We going regardless. And I saw the plug, right? So me, halftime, everybody go in the hall. I bump into him. Hey, what's up? I'm so-and-so, little cousin. And shit, I got my weight up. I'm trying to talk to you. And he looked at me. Dude was old enough to be my pops. He looked at me, said, all right. He said, cool. So I'm feeling good at the end of the day. I'm like, I probably can get my shit half the way. Like, I don't even got to spend the whole thing because I know what he giving it for. So he taught me a lesson because my cousin never fucked with me again. I never saw a dog again. And I already know, now that I'm older, I understand. He probably looked at me like, man, you did your cousin like that. What you gonna do to me? Cause like everything got a totem pole, and I try to skip it. I want to understand in the game. I did my big cousin dirty, and shit, he ain't fuck with me. Like, he fucked with me, like, but on some money shit, it was a wrap. And I know, like, he probably was protecting me. Like, if something went wrong, he was that buffer. You know, if something needed to be straightened out, I had my big cousin, or his price probably wasn't gonna be my price, and I didn't understand that. You know what I'm saying? So, us as a people, Black people, need to like make sure everybody eat and understand that when it was my time, he would have passed me the power. It wasn't my time though. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I feel about passing power. You gotta like wait your turn. And I learned now that instead of the whole grape, I'd rather have a slice of the watermelon. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Niggas want the whole grape. It ain't time. Get a slice of the watermelon. It's a bigger piece anyway. So, yeah.
Man, how do you know it's time for you to level up in the game, and like if it's not something passing you, but it's like an internal feeling like, man, I'm above this. Like, I got to leave this job, or I got to leave this position to go to this. Like, how do you know it's time?
God gonna tell you. The world gonna tell you. The universe gonna tell you. Like, it's gonna come. There's some yours is gonna come. So you just do work. You work whatever level you at. You just work hard, and the universe gonna reward you. So you just gotta work hard, be the best you could be at that level. And sometimes when you big, man, you outgrow where you at, and you naturally get into the next space. So that's what you got to do, bro. You got to just stay focused on your plate and work hard, and you will naturally matriculate. So, yeah.
Another relationship that you detail in the book and how it flourished is you meeting and connecting with the Flores Twins, or like the former drug kingpins for El Chapo and the Sinaloa cartel.
Yeah.
And I had never heard of them before reading your book, so just because I was never really in that space, so I'm doing my research, and I read an article by the Chicago Sun-Times, and they said that they contributed almost $2 billion to his organization. So I'm like, how was your experience actually connecting with them, and what did you see in the way that they carry themselves and do things that kind of like made them the men that they are, like that separated them from other people?
Yeah, man. A lot of shit come across my desk, right? Because people that been through that life, they read my shit and they know I've been through it. It's certain shit. It's like if you know, you know. And so a lot of people come across my desk, but when they came across my desk, I instantly knew who they was, because there wasn't nobody bigger. Nobody. People, they honor El Chapo, but these brothers are the ones that put it in the streets. They was the one that spreaded his his cocaine through the country. And
Yeah, he can't answer that. Not right now.
Okay, got it, for sure, for sure. I heard you in the previous interview talk about how you like to study and do your research for everything that you put in your books, and it's all based on like stuff that happens in real life that you've studied and seen and traveled around the world. Could you talk a little bit about the culture in places like, you know, Colombia, Sinaloa, places like Cuba? Like, what is their perspective on drugs and cocaine? Like, what is their perspective on it versus ours, if it differs at all? Like, what is their feeling towards what it does for the world?
Man, so I went to Cuba when we were allowed to go, and I just talked to some very important people, right? And I want to say this before I answer your question. I really like for people to see that if I'm talking about something, I really, really studied it, and I went and got the information from the source. So if I got a plug out of Cuba, you go to my IG, you're going to see me in Cuba. If I'm talking about deep forests where they really manufacture the best cocaine, you're going to see me there. If I talk about an investor in Dubai, you can go to my Instagram. I'm in Dubai. You know, I'm in Japan. You know what I'm saying? I'm in these places. I go to Italy. I've been to Italy 3 times. If I talk about a wine connoisseur in my book, because all my characters are elevated, I really go and talk to them so I can speak from a real place. You dig what I'm saying? But to go to your question about how they look at things, man, like it's crazy because they look at drug trafficking like a religion. You know, like that shit is plentiful for them there. Cocaine ain't nothing. But they understand how to move it, how to get it across. It's really like a religion, bro. So they look at it different. You know what I'm saying? We look at it as like a hustle. They look at they shit like a family business. And ain't no way you can stop it. Like, yeah, it's different, bro. They look at it like, yeah.
Even speaking on that earlier point of kind of needed advice for, you know, understanding that you might be telling the stories of other individuals who, you know, the world might, you know, look at as a polarizing figure. Somebody that you talk about in the book as well is Alpo Martinez, who obviously is, you know, respecting in his own right and polarizing in his own right. And then you were presented with the opportunity to tell his story. Like, what was that process of meeting him and then like sitting and having a conversation with him? Like, what was it like meeting him? And what was your intention behind telling his story? What did you want the world to understand?
Yeah, so that was the most crazy connection that I had, man. My agent called me one day and he said, yo, I want y'all to talk to somebody. He want to tell his story. I think it's going to be powerful. He had a big name attached to it. And it was, I said, I don't know, but I hope she don't mind me saying it. And he said his name Alpo. I was like, wait, what the fuck? Like, you know, Paid in Full, my favorite movie. And I always heard stories about him. He was too, so it was difficult for me to accept, but I had to go back to the same mantra that I'm a different nigga. So I took the meeting with him. He wasn't friendly, you know. He was hard, but he was with a real good woman. I'm not gonna say her name, man, but he was about to marry this lady, man. She's so solid, and I could tell she changed him, right? So after like 2 conversations, he kind of put down this wall and he started being him. And I think it was because of the young lady he had, but he just was a different person from what I saw. So we began to talk. He told me a story from the bottom to the top, and he was a different guy too. You know, I don't agree with what he did, but I was there to tell a story, and through doing that, he was a different dude too. he really had a great story to tell. Even though it was the villain's story, it just was a good story, man. And it was my job to humanize him, right? Like the Joker, he was just the worst of the worst in the street totem pole, and I had to humanize that. Like Joker, he was in that one with Heath Ledger. He was a bad dude, but he killed it because he humanized it. You know what I'm saying? And that was what I was optioned to do. And it's crazy because we was talking almost every day. He told me everything. Like, he told me this one story where he was like, I was about to kill Keith Sweat. The most random shit. And, you know, Keith Sweat is my nigga. That's like my favorite. I'm a Keith Sweat, that nigga. That's my nigga. Like, you know what I'm saying? My mom used to play him, so like nobody better than Keith Sweat to me. And he was like, it was random. I'm about to kill, I was about to kill Keith Sweat. And he told me the story. And he was like, yo, I pulled off because, I ain't gonna tell it all, but he was just telling me shit that I just had no idea of. And his story was compelling too. And I took all of this to the agent. They took it to the publisher. The crazy shit is they gave him a deal. Bro, they gave him a deal like the first week of October. That mean it was over. His story was told. He finally could go, not legit, but he could put Arthur under his name. And 30 days later, he got killed. Like, I don't even think we got to the signing part, but he got a nice bag for it. And, shit, sometimes, man, you got a destiny, and I guess his was to die where he started. And that just showed me your past always gonna come back and hit you. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that shit was wild, though. Fucking with Alpo was different.
Yeah.
Writing this story, against my morals. I wrote the story, but I'm the only person in the world that got that story. You know what I'm saying? Outside of his girl, and, so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on something that I also wanted to touch on a little bit about this idea of a good woman, a loyal woman, right? And kind of how she changed his life. And so you write about this in the book. In an excerpt, you say, if you're moving through this world trying to build, trying to elevate, trying to make something out of nothing, then having a loyal queen by your side is mandatory. Not optional, not a nice bonus, mandatory.
Yeah.
What is it about a loyal woman that makes her so invaluable? Because you talk about it a lot throughout the book.
Man, my girl's so dope. If I wasn't me, I'd be her. You know what I'm saying? She just dope, bro. And she showed me loyalty when I never saw it. Even when you got a love of a grandma or a mother, they gotta love you. You they blood. But when you get a person that love you just as much and they don't got to, they choose to, it's a different type of love. And when you get a girl that's loyal, a loyal girl is worth more than gold. You dig? Like, I can't think of nothing that's more valuable than a loyalty from a real one. She from where I'm from. Y'all see her, she clamorous and all that, but she a real one. That's my nigga. And nobody can take that from us. We just, that's my dog, man. And she loyal. So I just understand that part. Most people don't really understand it. But when you get a good one, you're going to know. It don't matter about anything else. It's about them. She one of those ones, for sure.
Yeah. Reading that in the book, it was just like, it really put so many things on a standard that it's just like, dang. Sometimes like it can feel so unrealistic that a woman could even hit that standard. But like having another person like, no, it's out there, but you gotta be in the right spaces. You gotta be intentional. A piece of advice you had gave me years ago that I tell people all the time. And I just shared it on different podcasts. It's like I forgot what I was having a conversation with you about, But I just remember you saying if it isn't 2 yeses, it's a no.
Yeah.
And so I use that throughout my whole entire life. Just like, if it ain't 2 yeses, it's a no.
Yeah.
And so you got to be going in the same direction.
Absolutely.
You know, you got to be with people who going in the same direction.
Yeah. So, you know, I do business with my girl. We wrote over 30-some books together. And, you know, she write alone, I write alone. But that business acumen we share. And sometimes you get deadlocked, especially with just two people, because if you say you want to do something, I say I don't want to do something, you clash. So we came up with this ideology that if it's not 2 yeses, it's a no. If we stuck on something and you want to do it and I don't want to do it, we don't do it. If you want to do it and I want to do it, 2 yeses, it's a go, if that makes sense. I know it sounds crazy, but if you live by that shit'll help you, especially with a woman. You know what I'm saying? You're a woman. Just keep the confusion down. If it's not 2 yeses, it's a no.
Yeah, it worked for me in life too. Like sure. I always apply that principle. And another part of the book that you raise and you're talking a little bit about something like building with people and then outgrowing people as well. Yeah. You talk about this concept of like sharing darkness with somebody, but then understanding that, you know, you when you're in the light, there's people that's going to be able to help you in the light, and like feeling like you have to carry the people who kept you in the darkness into the light moment. And those are two different people, the people that you meet in the light and the people that you survive with in the darkness. Could you talk a little bit about that, like the importance of, you call it day twos, right? Your day ones and then your day twos, like the importance of day twos.
Yeah, I actually got that from my wife and her business partner, day twos. Like where we're from, man, we don't have anything, so we have to share everything. And it's cool, and I love that about our people, but you can't be a to loyalty. Like, sometimes people don't deserve to go with you just because they grew up with you, just because they was in the trenches with you. We was kind of forced to do that. And I learned that late in life. Like, everybody can't go. Everybody don't deserve to go. Sometimes you start getting survivor's remorse, and you take people that shouldn't be there just because y'all grew up together. But when you in the hood, you forced. They put us in a project. A project. That's what the projects came from, because we was a project. They really put us in this box, and you forced to be, like, you can't have problems when the nigga live across the hall from you. You gotta lock in. You know what I'm saying? The nigga down the street gotta be your big homie. You know what I'm saying? Even if they do little snake shit, it's like, shit, what you gonna do? I know your mama live, you know where my mama live. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like forced. So, you know, I just learned that it's okay with meeting friends later in life when you on that level and they on that level. Is they a good person, right? Can I rock with this person? Can I close my eyes without them doing something behind my back? It's nothing wrong with that. And sometimes day twos work. Yeah. My wife taught me that, you know. And I met some great people after the age of 25 that I'll be friends with until I'm 100, you know. So, yeah, day twos is cool. Yeah.
Like, is there a real way to convince somebody to grow or to help somebody grow, or do you have to just remove yourself when somebody is not willing to grow?
No, bro. I mean, a person gonna be a person. They gonna be what they are. So, I mean, of course you correct a person when needed, or you give them the game, show them how to do it. I ain't saying don't show them how to do it and actually try to bring them. You should if it's there. Absolutely. But if a person is not worthy, you shouldn't do it, man. Like, yeah, bro, you just gotta do what's best for you, you know. And if a person is deserving of it, of course, bring them. Of course, if they're not deserving of it, you can't rock with it. And that's the way it is, bro.
I had noticed that you had ended up writing the foreword for Donald Goings.
Yeah.
And he's another legend in what they call street literature.
Yeah.
And you were asked to do the foreword for his memoir. Donald writes no more, the life Donald Goines, the godfather of street literature. Yeah. Did he inspire you in your eventual like getting into writing literature, and like how did his literature inspire you?
Absolutely. He's my favorite author of all time. He's the best that ever did it as far as street literature. And I knew that, like growing up, my favorite book was Horse Son. And I just think it's so dope that, you know, almost 40 years later, the publisher, his family asked me to write for it. But I remember being a little boy, just, you know, Horse Son being my favorite book. And now I got a blurb on Horse Son. And then they asked me to do the foreword for the memoir. Bro, that's like the biggest feather in my cap ever. You know what I'm saying? So doing that just made me feel like, okay, as a writer, my goal is complete. You know what I'm saying? I got approval from the best, even though he's not alive to give me that. I think he touched it. He knew it's supposed to be me. So that shit just was like, I ain't got nice deals, but that phone call was like the best. Yeah, it was the best. Rest in peace, Donald.
Rest in peace. Yeah. I know something you also talk about with writing and eventually what helped you be successful in this space was the discipline of writing every day, which I've tried to do, and it's easier said than done. But I wanted to ask your perspective on like how you have got in that mode of writing every day, and like how did you decide on an amount that was realistic for you to not burn out every day, but just like we're going to commit to this every day?
Man, it's like building a house, bro. If I say, Ahmad, I need you to build a house, you're gonna say, I don't know how to build a fucking house. But if I say, okay, Ahmad, go and lay a brick, lay that motherfucker perfect, you can do that. Then the next day I say, Ahmad, go and lay a brick, but lay it perfect. You're gonna do that. You do that every day, you're gonna have a house. So that's how I approach writing. I just do a little bit every day. People think I'm just writing around the clock because I got so many books, but bro, I just stay consistent. It's like having homework for the rest of your life. That's what writing a book is. That's what being an author is. And I write every single day. I haven't missed a day, maybe in 15 years. I write a little bit. I'm talking about 45 minutes. And it adds up. And that's how I stay consistent. I'm not sitting behind the desk for 8 hours. Sometimes I do because I want to, but my obligation is to write 5,000 words a day. And that's easy. I could do that in 45 minutes. So doing that, it makes you run through them just every day. It don't matter where I'm at. It don't matter if I'm vacationing. It don't matter if it's my birthday, Christmas. I'm knocking that out in the morning. And that made me prolific. So yeah, you gotta just stay on it. It's easy.
Yeah, I'm trying to get in that groove because, and I think reading your book was really inspirational, and that's something you talk about in the book. Like it's going to inspire future writers, it's going to inspire future business people, and just like the way that you told the story, and just it felt like it was in a chronological order. Honestly, just like from growing up to eventually becoming successful. Sometimes you go back just to talk about how the past influenced the present. But it was just a powerful read. Something I wanted to ask you, and I'll leave you with this, about this idea of certain periods of time, right? And I was having a conversation with my group of people that I do a gratitude group with, right? It's an intentional group of people that we just kind of share what we're grateful for every day, just to kind of help reinforce that theme. And we're talking about this idea that there's periods of time where there's only a handful of people that we know from that period of time, right? We think about the 8th century, the 7th century, and just keep going earlier and earlier. So I wanted to ask you, 1,000 years from now, if we're thinking about this period of time, and there's only one author out of all these authors, right, that people are able to pull one piece of literature from, what would be that one piece of literature from your catalog that you would want the people 1,000 years from now? If there's a cataclysmic event and all literature is destroyed except one of your pieces of work, what would that piece of work be and why?
It'd be Drop Jury. It'd be this book because if you love any of my other books, I had to get the knowledge to write it. And Drop Jury showed you how I got that knowledge. Like, I want people to know this isn't like a self-help book. Like, it's my story. And to understand how I write and where I pull from, you got to know where I pulled it from. And I think this book kind of shows it. So 1,000 years from now, by me, Drop Jury, it's my best work. Yeah.
And where can they find it? I know they know where to find it, but if they don't know, where can they find that? It drops June 14th.
Yeah, anywhere books sold. Anywhere. I got a nice team that puts my books where they need to be. But if you want it autographed, get it from me at ColemanBooks.com. Yeah, you can get it from anywhere, but if you want it signed, get it from me. Yeah, and go to the website.
Appreciate you, OG.
Absolutely, my dog. All right.